Hello guys, welcome to this week's episode of The Flower Show. In this week's episode, we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to show you a very easy way how to edit a YouTube video, and you can do this with any video editing software that you use or would like to use, and it's just going to use the principles. This is based off just years of experience, playing around with editing and just seeing what works. So this is more the principle if you're just making a head video, sort of, you know, a normal YouTube video, if you will. This is just a few little tips to help you, you know, gain more views, extend the watch time of people watching your videos, make them, you know, more interested in your videos and stuff like that. So we're going to be looking over those sort of things. If that sounds interesting to you, I'm Dave from TVR Creators, and I make weekly content mainly on cameras, but also in content creation. And if that sounds interesting to you, subscribe and like the video. So this is a random video that I chose, and I just thought I would just show you sort of roughly how I edit. Obviously it's going to be speed round a little bit, otherwise, you know, you don't want the video to go on for like 50 minutes, but then again, maybe you do. So this is a random video which I thought was quite interesting because there's lots of different cuts, different angles, and one little power tip I would recommend is to think about the first few seconds of the video are really the hook of the video. That really draws people in, and that's something you want to think about, the psychology of when you're editing your video. And that might sound, oh my god, that sounds complex and stuff, and I swear I'm getting a cold this morning. Wow. But what I would massively recommend is just think about pulling people's attention in, not clickbait as such, but just grabbing the audience attention, making them know they've clicked on the right video, and that is all gravy. So if we just look at the first clip then, this is how I would sort of start this.
Testing, testing, testing.
And the sound from the computer might sound a little bit funny because it's coming out of the speaker, which isn't the best speaker in the world, and then it's going through the microphone. So sorry if the video sounds a bit tinny. Don't worry about it. But that's just the first clip. That's basically just me testing that I've turned the microphone on, because that's a massive power tip. That's something I've done loads over the years, is I've actually recorded the whole video and stupidly forgot to turn the microphone on.
Testing, testing, testing.
That's something I would highly recommend you don't do. So the first thing I do now, one thing I do see a lot in different comments on other channels and stuff, is should I have an intro? If you do have an intro, I would use the psychology of hook first, like welcome to the video, you know, blah 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 blah, this is what's happening. Intro if you absolutely have to, but just bear in mind that most people, especially new viewers, probably don't really care about my intro or your intro or anyone's intro. They just want to get on with the content. They've clicked on your video, they've liked the thumbnail, they've clicked on the video because they like the idea of whatever the video, and they hoping that the value is going to be what they're looking for, so they want to get straight on with the, you know, if you're showing somebody what to do about something or how to do something, most people just want you to get on with it. So already I'm probably lagging a little bit in this one, so that's something to bear in mind.
The first power tip I'll share with you is get used to your camera. Work out how it works.
So I would get the first clip.
The first power tip
and then I would, obviously you always have a little bit where you press the record on the button on the camera, and you just want to work out which bit that starts. Use the scissor icon. Most editing softwares have that. That's just like a cut tool. Cut it off, click it, delete, and off you go.
The first power tip I'll share with you is get used to your camera. Work out how it works.
So in this particular video, I've gone straight into the value, so in the hope that people are like, oh cool, I like this.
The first power tip I'll share with you is get used to your camera. Work out how it works. If it's interchangeable lenses,
I won't show you all the clip because you've probably seen this video, and if you want to check out this video, it is on our channel. This is me. It was basically 5 power tips of video power tips. So once you've done that video, obviously you want to watch the video. And one little thing I'd recommend, if you use scripts or if you use PowerPoint, bullet points, which is tend to be what I do. So I tend to bullet point what I want to say, or roughly what I want to say, and then I tend to wing it, and then I will cut the different parts of the video. So say I've said the same thing 3 or 4 times, I'll watch them all, I'll see which one's best, and then I'll put that in that position, delete the rest, and keep going until the video is edited. That's pretty much how I roll when I'm making like a proper video.
You will improve.
And as you can see there, look, there's a bit there where I go to press the camera.
You will improve.
So obviously you don't really want, unless you're doing it on purpose. So what I would recommend is you cut that bit out. Boom.
With every bit of video.
Now I've cut it a little bit too much, but it doesn't matter too much. Obviously if I was being really thinkable about it, I'll just tinker. And a little power tip actually, sometimes I watch it again.
With every bit of video
I've cut way too much there, bear with me.
With every bit of video you will improve.
And then what I tend to do here, sometimes on certain computers it bombs out when you do this, but this particular program I use is quite good. If you hold down your mouse button and see your video dragging, you'll see that as soon as you stop talking, and just there, that's where I would cut the clip. So it's like, bam, next bit. And let's go to the next one.
Audio is 50%. Audio.
So see how there's a bit there where I'm like getting ready to talk, or I've just pressed the camera.
Audio.
So same sort of principle.
Audio is.
Work out roughly where you actually want to start.
Audio is audio.
And then same principle, clip. And if you want to make it, there's lots of different cuts you can do, but today I'm going to make it fairly simple. You can literally just do a basic cut.
Will improve. Audio is.
And if you just want to make it a little bit more natural, you can do like J cuts and all that sort of jazz. But sometimes I find the easiest thing to do is just grab the clip and just very slightly just let them cross over. So the audio on both clips just overslide slightly and just causes, creates a more natural cut.
Audio is.
So do you see how that sort of goes like that? And obviously I might spend a bit more time on it.
Improve. Audio is.
Yeah, and obviously you can tinker around with that to get it exactly how you want. If you're getting value so far from this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out our merch if you want to support the brand. And to spill water all down myself. Right. So let's go to the next one. This one's quite a long clip, so I won't watch all of it. So here I'm talking about microphones and all that sort of jazz.
And that's not what you want when you're producing your videos.
So just for, easiness, I'm just going to cut off that little bit. And as you can see, this keeps it quite sort of clean. So usually I'd have 3-4 clips. This particular day, I think till later, I think I had pretty much done most on one take because I was really in the mood for recording that day. And I knew I had it all organised what I was going to say.
Now the third tip I want to share you guys.
So same principle again.
Third tip
you might say, Dave, you're just doing the same thing over and over again, but that is the basics of editing really to an extent. Obviously there's much more to it. You want to add music. I'll get to that in a moment.
Your videos. Third tip I want to share.
Now I'm not going to add music because then I've got to make sure it's copyright proof, even though I do have lots of tracks I've got for the YouTube studio. But what I would tend to do now is I would add in a music track under here on the second track of the timeline. So this is known as the timeline. There are lots of different versions of this. This is the more complex version. And if you've got things like Adobe Pro and stuff like that, obviously they can have hundreds of tracks. And if you've ever seen a timeline of an actual film, it is mental. There's literally like 40 tracks of sound effects and colouring and colour correction and transitions and music and other sound effects, and it's quite incredible really. In the past where I've done like films and stuff, I've probably had 7 or 8 tracks at the most, and my old computer at the time was like which was quite funny.
You'll get that really annoying sound.
That annoying sound there, Dave. So as you can see here, you're just sort of going through the clips.
With that is.
And then you just want to sort of break it down.
If you're getting value so far from this video,
if you want to mix it up a bit, and I'll show you in a minute how to make it better. So one thing I would highly recommend actually, if you want to make it a bit more complex, a bit more interesting, I talked about it at the beginning of the video about the first few seconds hooking the people in. So what I tend to do, a little power tip here, for those of you that have got to this part of the video, I want to show you what I do now. So what I tend to do is say I'm about to start.
The first power tip
So what I'll do here is I'm going to cut the clip, go to effects this time, and then I'm going to bring in the video. So I'm going to pull you in briefly. So watch.
The first power tip I'll share with you is get used to your camera.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull and change how much I've pulled in the video, and that will subconsciously pull your eye into the video more and hopefully hold your attention for a little bit longer, just to make you decide even quicker if this video is for you. So I will quite often will do that, and then from there I'll add the positioning and then I'd put it in maybe not quite the same, just to make it a little bit different. So as you can see here,
the first power tip I'll share with you is get used to your camera. Work out how it works.
To me, so it just naturally looks like you're on different cameras. It just makes it look a bit better, a bit more professional, and that's just a very good way. The first few seconds, just to, this looks a bit more interesting than someone just standing there, and it already looks like you got multiple cameras, or it's just edited a bit more professional, and just looks a really cool way to edit your video. And what I tend to do, I won't do that today because I don't want you poor people to watch me do every single moment of the clip, but I will do that, not constantly all the time, but I will just watch how it goes. So say if I'm talking a little bit, I will let it roll for a little bit, like Dave's talking, and then what I do subconsciously is I think, right, I've been talking for about, I don't know, 15-20 seconds. The audience are probably getting a little bit swayed, so what I'll do is then I'll just throw in a very slight, and I'll show you what I do here. I'll just cut this clip like this. So I'm looking at the screen as I'm doing this, and then I'll just pull it in. So say I'm talking, you see what I'm doing here, so just watch this, just out of interest.
Interchangeable lenses, work out how you do that, what's the settings you can do on it, play around with what it actually does, what features it has.
And you see that, so even though you're watching it, you're enjoying it, and it's just like a little subtle, like, jolt, a little jolt to your eyes, little poke to the eyes in a nice way, just like keep watching, and that's just a very subtle. When you watch films, when people are talking, you'll notice as it's in the lines, the camera angles will change. You'll look at one person, then look at the other person, and it's amazing how that holds your attention much more than if you just looking at the same person for 20 minutes. Which is what I'm doing today on this video.
Play around with what it actually does.
You get the idea. So I tend to do that, and then if I'm talking for maybe a long space of time, and I don't want to do that, and a little power tip I sometimes share, you don't have to do this, is I'll just add a very gentle zoom on a long bit of clip there. So you may notice very slightly, and I do it for quite a while, for like, I don't know, 30 seconds, say, maybe less.
Get a camera with a
so you'll notice,
and literally just press record and just start filming. With every bit
you'll notice it's just slowly zooming in, like someone's on the camera, just gradually zooming in, and it just makes the clip more interesting, and it just makes the video more interesting. It holds the audience more. It maybe, if you maybe talking about something that's maybe a bit more important within the video, it sort of pulls that person in. So when you're editing, just think of it like a story. That's why I like the whole timeline thing, because I see it like I'm making art, almost like a painting. I'm sort of thinking, right, I add that there, pull you in here, pull you out there. So see yourself like the director of the video. It might sound overly complex, but honestly, if you think of it like that, it just makes your videos far more interesting. And then what I do from there is that I will then edit the clip, do what I did before. Obviously I do it in much more time, but I just want to show you sort of roughly what I do when I'm editing a video. And bear in mind, I have been doing this for years. It may take some of you hours and hours and hours. I can edit a good video probably in like half an hour, 40 minutes, if I'm really going for it, not talking about it all the way through. And if you've got multiple clips, what you want to do here, like I said earlier, you might want to watch them.
Is a very simple one, but quite an effective one. If you have your camera slightly above your eye line, like I'm doing at the minute.
Nice little power tip there, Dave. But yeah, I would highly recommend doing that. And then once you're doing that, you can play around with color correction sometimes. Now I found in this particular video, I didn't feel like it was too bad. It was the look that I wanted for this particular video. So I believe when I edited this video properly, I didn't mess around with it too much. But of course you can play around with the colors. You can play around with, making it look more white, more natural, more sort of ready, make it black and white, whatever view you're going with, you can play around with all different tones. And it's all about the how, what sort of feeling, emotion you want to send. So think of it as editing, as storytelling. If you think of it like that, that's a very good way to edit your videos. Now, obviously, you can just post it like I've done in this video, because I wanted to show you some of the details that I go through. And this, again, is just a small inkling into how I edit a YouTube video. So you know, I hope this gives you a few little tips. And once I've done the video, I would then massively recommend just watching the whole video, see if it all like syncs and makes sense, make sure all your transitions are how you want them, that there's nothing that's unnatural, or perhaps you've cut something a bit wrong, and take as long as you need to. If it takes you 6 hours, then fair enough. But hopefully as you get better and better, you'll get better at the program. And what I would recommend is maybe try a couple different programs, because we're all good at different programs. I, at the moment, use Movie Edit Pro for Magix purely because it's simple. I have used Adobe and I've used 3 or 4 different editing softwares, and I love and like them all. But what I like about this sometimes, when I'm editing a YouTube video, it's just simple, it doesn't crash, and sometimes you don't need 10,000 transitions. You just need very basic transitions to do nice little cuts to keep your video simple but effective and professional, and sometimes that's all you need. So I hope that these tips today have been helpful to you. And in a moment, I just want to say thank you so much for watching, like and subscribe, and I'm going to leave you 2 end cards that are going to give you the normal value that you deserve. And you know what, guys? You guys rock.